The most common mistakes that new mobile notaries make. This is going to be a list of those mistakes and how to avoid them. So usually these type of mistakes are the ones that I've seen the most often amongst notaries. And if you stay to the end of this video, I will show you guys and explain to you guys what they are, how to get around them. Some of these I made myself. Some of these I see other people making. So I just want to give them a fair warning jumping into this video. Hopefully, if you stick to the end, you will understand that. And I know most of you guys won't because, you know, dopamine, short-term addiction, short-term memory, short-term focus is going to stray you away. But hopefully it doesn't. And if it doesn't, you're on for a treat. So first things first is understanding your state laws. That's something I want to put off like right there at the top of this. Understanding your state laws is going to be very crucial as a notary because this is going to explain to you what the fees are, how to charge them, what type of documents you can expect, what type of documents you're able to notarize or look at to authenticate the notarization. So for example, if they don't have their ID, what can you use according to your state? What type of documents can you use to validate their identity? You see what I'm saying? Because you go to an appointment and they're saying like, okay, I don't have my driver's license. Is there anything I can use? And you need to be able to answer that question. So I would put for number one is just understanding your state laws. Various reasons. Those are a few that I explained to you right there. You need to know. So in the event that, let's say, you're unable to do somebody's job or notarize somebody's documents, you're able to be like, okay, we can't use your driver's license because you don't have it or it's expired, but we can use your passport. Or we can't use your passport, but we can use your state ID. So you need to understand, like, what does your state law say? Because I know sometimes, like, a lot of these influencers, gurus, coaches, consultants come out here and tell you guys a couple of things that might seem like they're one size fit all, but it's not. Different states vary. Excuse me, y'all. When I talk fast, I just start skipping over I start coughing. Anyways, skipping a notary journal. This seems so simple, but it's something that people do. And to be honest, I was always tempted to not do this, but I just still did it anyway. And I'm so glad. Like I've explained in other videos, when it comes to like doing notarizations and doing people's jobs and stuff like that, you might be in a sort of scenario where either a lawyer reaches out to you, a customer reaches out to you, and they're gonna want to know like details from that specific day that you went to do the notarization. So they might want to say like, hey, what day did we meet again for you to notarize my documents? Do you remember what type of documents it was, or how many stamps was on the document? Stuff like that. You don't think it's important until it's important, and when you don't do it, you're just like, oh shoot, I probably should have did this. For example, I did which one was it? Was it a power of attorney? It was either a power of attorney or something along estate planning for a client because their lawyers reached out to me to notarize their documents. Turns out that person ended up dying, and then the lawyer had to reach out to me in order to verify a few things, like when I was there, things of that sort, things that I gave in the example before. And thank God that I actually had the information documented, so I was able to give it to them. But imagine in the instance where I wasn't. I could be opening myself up for one, a lawsuit, and just two, looking unprofessional as a whole. And if they would have went to social media and talked about my unprofessionalism and the fact that I didn't have a notary journal or even know when I notarized a document, that would have looked bad on my behalf. So you need to have a notary journal. You'll have some people argue whether it needs to be digital, whether it needs to be physical. It's up to you. Hey, whatever floats your boat. You know, me, I'm more of a digital type of guy, just because I'm on the move so much. But it's up to you. You can have both. You can honestly have both. It really is up to you. Moving on to the next one is poor time management. And this goes in hand with 9-to-5ers and people that don't have 9-to-5s or 8-to-4s. If you're a 9-to-5, or even if you're just self-employed, you need to have great time management when it comes to your mobile notary business. And one of the things I always say is, if you treat it like a side hustle, it's going to remain a side hustle. If you treat it like a real business, it's going to pay you like a real business. So you don't want to half-ass any of the stuff that you do, especially the mobile notary industry. And with that being said, your time management needs to be A1. Don't set appointments with these customers saying that you can do this at a certain time and a certain day, and you know that you can't make that appointment. If it's one of those appointments where it's like, all right, I could probably make it there on time. Worst case scenario, I'm there a little bit late. You need to communicate this stuff with your clients. You need to communicate this stuff with your client, because not only are you wasting their time, you're also coming off as deceitful because you said you could be there by a certain time, but you couldn't. So make sure your time management is A1. I always say use schedulers. Use schedulers. Use schedulers. I don't know if you're Apple Maps. I don't know if you're an Apple's calendar type of person or if you're like a Google Calendar. But me, myself, I use Google Calendar for everything. And I tell my friends, my family, anybody that's around me that wants to book time with me, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. I always say this. If you know me personally, you know that I say if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist, because I go off of that calendar. So you should do that too. And the reason I learned that is because I think I was following Layla Hormozi, Alex Hormozi's wife, a couple of years ago, and she kind of flashed her camera. I don't think it was intentionally, but she flashed her camera on her calendar. And then I saw it and I was just like, oh snap, her calendar was just so like on point. And I think it was like in the background of one of her videos. And I looked at it, I'm like, whoa, her camera, her calendar looks crazy. Like, it's super organized. So I'm like, all right, if people at that level of business can be organized, I can do that too at my level of business. So I say all this to say poor time management. Don't want to go too deep into that wormhole for y'all. Next up is undercharging for services. This is really like a big one. This might be one of the biggest. Undercharging for services. And this is something that I really see a lot of newbies doing, because when you first get into the business, or if it's let's say that mobile notarizations or the notary business is like your first real business, the first thing that you decide to take seriously outside of your job, what a lot of you guys tend to do is charge what you think is fair, not really what the going rate is or what it's supposed to be. Excuse me. So, for example, let's say that you were doing like an estate planning document that was $200. In your mind, $200 is a lot of money. And because you're just going to their job and doing a notarization and it seems so simple to you, you're going under the impression like, oh my gosh, I'm finessing these people, or I'm tricking these people, or I'm charging them so much. But that's not the case. There's a demand for your need, and you're fulfilling the demand, and you're charging either the going rate or what people around you are doing. Don't charge cheaper, because believe it or not, although you think you might be doing them a favor, which being the clients, you're not. Because the cheaper you charge them, the cheaper they think your services are worth. You know what I mean? There's a certain level of respect that you get when you charge more, and there's a certain type of clientele that you get when you charge more that you don't get when you're charging lesser amounts. So don't be scared to charge. If you're not sure where you need to be in terms of charging, you need to look at other people around you. You need to do one of the methods that I say in my other videos, when I say you can just look at the other people in your zip code. If you're not sure how to do that, go check out my other videos or put in the comments below. I'll be glad to show you guys a strategy on doing that. But never undercharge for your services. If you're trying to be the cheapest person in your area, you're competing at a losing game, because not only will you get the worst customers, the cheap customers, you're also going to get not as much as that you could be getting paid for your services. Next one is not marketing properly. And to be honest, a lot of people just don't market, period. But let me just put that down. It's always funny that I decide to type to write this out, because I have shitty handwriting, but I like to be active. But anyways, not marketing properly. This is probably one of the biggest as well. People jump into the notary industry, and I'll tell you what it kind of looks like, right? So it happens when people they watch videos. Let's just say watch videos. Make sure y'all can see that. Can you see that? They watch videos. They get their commission. I'm writing this fast so I can keep you guys' attention. They watch their videos, they get their commission, and then they just sit. Or honestly, what they'll do is they'll tell people because they're proud, or they'll put it on Instagram, letting know, hey, I'm a notary, come work with me, and then they sit. Nowhere in this is marketing. You see what I'm saying? They watch some videos on TikTok, YouTube, then they get their commission when they find out it's not too crazy, it's not too hard to get. They tell people, their family and friends or social media, and then they just sit on their butt and wait for the clients to come. It doesn't work like this. And I understand that a lot of people do this because they are new in like business, but you're not gonna get clients like that. You actually have to. The more you're in this business world, the more you'll realize like once you learn to do your service, the majority of the rest of your time is gonna go into marketing. So you're in the notary business, but you're more so, in my opinion, humble opinion, what do I know? You're in the marketing business because you want to find a way to have a consistent flow of clients coming in. And if you're unsure to do that, that's why I always say to use the notary hybrid system when it comes to not marketing properly. So you can use the NHS, which is a system I created, notary hybrid system. So yeah, just use the notary hybrid system. You guys can't see it, but all I did was write notary hybrid system below it. All you got to use is the notary hybrid system. That's going to help you bring in more clients without having to rely on like signing services and stuff like that, and to automate like that whole process. Let me move that up here. Can you guys see that? Right. Boom. There you go. Notary hybrid system. But yeah, once you guys don't market, you just get the commission, and don't do anything outside of that. So the next thing you could do is just ignoring your repeat clients and kind of just treating them like basic clients. So ignoring. Look like I said clients. Is ignoring your repeat clients. Oof, handwriting's horrible. Anyways, when it comes to ignoring your repeat clients, when you start getting the into motion of getting clients coming in, you might not respect all clients equally. And when I say that is, you might treat the one-off clients, you might treat the repeat clients like they're one-off clients. But in fact, when you do see a client that's repeat, you need to be doing whatever you can to get more data on that client. And what that looks like is, where's that client? Where's that client located? What type of person is that client? What type of document did they need? How often do they reach out? Is there any way I could provide a bigger service or incentive? Do they have other clients that are like them that will also be repeat clients? You need to dissect and pay attention to every little thing when it comes to those repeat clients, because that's where the money is really made. So I was talking to one of my mentors when I was building out a new system for like our notary business, and what he was saying is, you're a marketer. He's acknowledged you're a marketer. What you're saying makes sense. You're a marketer, which means that you always hunt for fresh blood. And that's what it's like being in businesses where you don't have a lot of repeat clients, right? So when he says you're hunting for fresh blood all the time, is like, I have to go out and kill every day. So I have to go out, find a new customer every single day, find a new customer, find a new customer, find a new customer. But another way to be more effective is, when I do get the customers that seem to be repeat, focus on those. Focus on how I can get more like those. So every day you're not having to hunt and find a fresh kill every day. You're able to just know that, okay, I get these repeat customers. They usually come around this time of the month, and they'll automatically come back by themselves. So big tip is not ignoring your repeat customers. And last thing I'll say is just failing to verify IDs. And there's a lot more I can show you guys, but I don't want to keep this video too long for you guys. A lot of people don't verify the IDs. Whether they may be doing it for a family or a friend, what they'll tend to do is let a lot of things slide, especially when the person or the client is cool. You might want to be like, oh yeah, no problem. I don't even need to look at it. I know you're good, and notarize the document. But don't do things like that. Just go ahead and sit down and just check the ID. Check the ID. Even if you have to do it casually, like, hey, let me see your ID real quick. Make sure you're good to go. Boom, boom, boom. Make it a non like serious thing, especially if they're a friend or a family and you don't want it to be awkward. Do things like that. Just say that. Let me just check it real quick. Make sure your ID is not expired. Because when poop hits the fan, and you want to make sure that you're prepared, you want to make sure that you can say, yeah, I did look at the ID. It was the person, and it was not expired. And if you can't see their ID, you need to know the other forms of identification that you can use to verify their identity. That's why I said that number one. That's why I started off right here with number one, when it was understanding the state laws and understanding what else you can use to verify their identity. So don't slip out on stuff like those. Don't try to like be cool with people and not complete your job. Do what you need to do, and you'll be good to go. But anyways, those are some of the most common ways that new mobile notaries make mistakes. Those are the ways in which I would say to avoid it. If you guys want some more tips, if you need one-on-ones, more help with anything like that, go ahead and click the link down there in the bio. Book a one-on-one. Let's work together, get your business to 3 to 5K plus without having to rely on just signing services. And then also, I have some free tools down there, and I have tons of videos that you guys can watch for free, just giving you straight game. Anyways, it's your boy Knowledge. Peace, love, stay profitable.